Want to shift gears? Talk some high school basketball, and we've got a guest on the line. I'm very excited to talk with this guy. I have a lot of respect for him as a coach and just the program that he's got there at Millwood. Head coach Dorrian Williams, coach of the Millwood Falcons, is with us. Coach, how you doing? Good morning to you.
Good morning. How you doing? I appreciate you having me on.
We appreciate you finding time for us, Coach. I mean,
absolutely.
You've got a great basketball team this year once again in year two as a head coach. I've called a few of your games this year with Mo Prince and Gary Woods, and I'm just really enamored with your team. Currently ranked number 1 in Class 3A. You're on a 9-game winning streak. Do you like where this team is at going into the regional tournament this week? What's this season been like for you at Millwood?
Oh, it's been extremely fun. Guys come to work every day, whether it's a good day, bad day, imperfect day. You know, they're very professional about how they work, and that's always a blessing to have in young kids. And we have kids that actually aspire to be the best individuals they can be on and off the floor. You know, and so it makes my job extremely fun and easy. I have a great coaching staff who's, I mean, in their own right, probably could be head coaches somewhere. So just the gathering of the great administration, the great coaching staff, and then you add the great players that we do have with that. And I think, you know, it's just kind of made this a really, really fun year for us.
Now, you're in your second year as head coach at Millwood. You know, you got to the state championship game last year, fell a little bit short to OCS, but you know, what led you to Millwood, and what's been the key to success these past couple of years? Because you have won a ton of games.
Yeah, no, I think, you know, any time you get a chance to coach at a place like Millwood and its rich tradition and its you know, and its winning environment, you know, it's contagious. And so, you know, for us, like we talk about it before we break the huddle out the locker room, we play for our name on our chest, not the name on the back. Millwood means something for each and every one of our kids, including the coaching staff. And, you know, we go out there and try to put on the best performance we can for everybody that's been part of Millwood since day one, which has been really, really fun and exciting for us. You know, like I said, just really, really good high character guys, man, that takes that pride in everything they do.
When I watch your team play, Coach, I find myself wishing I had another set of eyes because there's so many moving parts. There's so many different things happening. And in a way, that's kind of by design. It's controlled chaos. You want to make things tough on your opponent. You certainly do that. But, boy, you've got some players on your team that really facilitate that. Isaiah Wilkes, I think, is one of the best guards in the state. Amari Barrett is ultra-athletic. I'm a big fan of Jonathan Van Buren, who can really, like, he's super athletic, can jump out of the gym. What's it like coaching those guys, and how do you get them to play unselfish basketball?
Yeah, no, that's always a great point. You know, when you have 3 talented guys, potential Division I basketball players, you got to get them to buy in order for the team to buy in, right? And so these guys are, like, when I speak of their character from day one, they've been bought in. They're just naturally unselfish guys, and like you said, they're just ultra competitive. So they hate losing, and they understand. They've been playing a long time. They play high level basketball during the summers and things like that. So they understand what selfish basketball ultimately gets you. And so, you know, I think the buy-in from them has led to the buy-in throughout the whole program from middle school on up. And it's been a joy to be a part of.
And it's not just those guys, too, Coach. I mean, Braylon Goins, Chris Clay, Gabriel Bivens, Corey Holman. I mean, this is one of the deepest basketball teams in the state of Oklahoma. Is it difficult for you as a head coach to manage rotations? Because you have so many different players that they can bring different things. I mean, it's a great problem to have. Don't get me wrong. That's a blessing that you want as many good players on your team as possible. But how do you make those decisions when it comes to, okay, put this guy in the game? Now take him out. Let's put him in.
Yeah. No, I honestly really believe we have, 15 guys that can play. And usually, you know, I'm being very humble when I say that, but we really have 15 guys who can impact winning basketball. And I think one thing that we've done and part of the culture here is every day we practice. And in practice, that's where you earn your minutes. And I think, our kids have embodied that, and it's risen our level of competition and our, competitive spirit. And so every day in practice, man, it's a grind. And you compete for minutes, man, but it brings the best out in you ultimately. I mean, you see some of that. And then some of it is, matchups, right?
Yeah.
Like you have maybe a faster team. There's certain matchups you may want to go with to counter that. And the biggest thing is like, like I said, we have all these stands when we leave the locker room, but toughen together, right? It doesn't matter what it looks like. If we all walk out here with a win, we all won, right? And that's kind of the saying in our heads. And like I said, we got high character guys that winning is the most important thing. And I say that 3 times because I'm just repeating after them.
Well, that's the standard at Millwood. I mean, we can go down the list of how many championships that have been won at that school. That's the standard that's been created, and you're trying to live up to that. Talk to me about the regional tournament game this Thursday. I'm surprised you're not hosting, but you've got to go on the road to Lindsay and take on the Lindsay Leopards, and you win that, then you go to Hennessy on Saturday, and we don't know who you play there, but you've first and foremost got to win on Thursday. What's that matchup look like against Lindsay on Thursday?
I don't know. I think every matchup we're going to have is pretty much a dogfight. I think when, I'm not big in labels, but when they give you a number one or a top team label, you're going to get the best out of everyone.
Right.
And so it's our job to be, mentally and physically prepared to come whatever comes our way and take on any challenge. Lindsay's a really good ball club. They're traditionally well coached. They got some kids that can play, but for us, all year long, we've always talked about, it's about us. It's about our principles. It's about what we do. Because we know if we stay true to those things, we always give ourselves a chance to win a ball game. And so this is no different. I know it's the start of playoffs, but I mean, as crazy as it sounds, we're still focused on trying to get better at some of those things and really all of those things. So we're excited for the matchup. We know that it's going to be tough. It's at Lindsay. We know the crowd is going to be there. We know the kids are going to be pumped up. But, I mean, it's playoffs. What other way would you have it?
Right.
I hear people talk about the seedings and things like that all the time. Where our motto is just kind of whoever's in front of you, you got to play them. So we don't complain about it. We don't think about it twice. I think that's why our schedule looks the way that it did this year. And it prepares you for these moments. You're going to go play Owasso and Booker T in Tulsa, playing Dale at Dale. That's what ultimately prepares you to be ready for these moments in playoffs.
Yeah, I mean, I'm looking at your schedule now. You've got wins over Crooked Oak, who's number 2 in 3A. You've got a win in overtime over number 3, Cassia Hall. You beat 6A Moore. I don't see very many 3A teams competing against 6A schools like Moore and Southmore. You did that. You won those games. Has that just been by design? Yeah, no, it's definitely by design. I know, Millwood has always took pride in scheduling and trying to have, play, schools that are more local. And with that, you have some of your better or bigger schools, right? And then you go outside, you want to play the best that you can play. And this year just so happened that we were fortunate enough to play some of these, and the schedule worked out the way it did. I mean, we're grateful for it. If we could do it again, we would, because it really, really helps us. And I think it's evident when you look at, how we finished the season this year, and you can tell that we've grown from some of the things that may have hurt us early on against some of those really, really good teams. We're talking with head coach Dorrian Williams, head coach of the Millwood Falcons. D. Wright, you got a question for Coach?
I do. Coach, how would you describe your team's style of play to a person who's never watched the Falcons play?
I probably would just label it more so as, passionate. You're going to see a lot of passion from our guys. You're going to see a lot of effort, a lot of multiple effort plays. You're going to see guys run from one side of the floor and be on the other side of the floor in 3 seconds. You're going to see us push the tempo a lot. Our goal is try to get down the floor in under 3 seconds. And we keep track of all that stuff. So I think what you'll see is a hard-nosed, fast-paced, gritty team. Like it was alluded to earlier, we are deep, we are talented, but you're going to see us really, really together. You're going to see them sit together at every game, be together. Like it's really a family atmosphere, and it's such a joy to be a part of, and I'm just grateful for it.
Yeah, and I mean, I've called a few of your games, and that's exactly how I would describe it: is just speed, athleticism, and hunger. It's like they're playing for their lives out there. There's no give on defense. They're very greedy. They're relentless on offense. It's really a perfect thing. Talk to me about practice at Millwood. Is that to see that in games, you've got to know that that's preparation and hard work and practice. What does practice look like at Millwood under your tutelage?
Yeah, absolutely. No, that's a great question. Like, I think, one of the things one of the pluses about having a deep team is it creates opportunity for great practices. And so when I say we get after it, we challenge each other. And we got 15 guys suiting up. There's 3 groups that can go compete with each other, and they do it every day. And so when you practice like that and you compete like that every single day, I mean, you bring your hard hat and it just it becomes contagious. It becomes second nature. And some of these plays, I think back as a coach, and when I watch him make it, I expect him to make this. I still be in awe sometimes, like, how did he do that? But the truth is we practice that way. Our demands is that way every single day. And we're fortunate enough to have 15, even some of our JV guys who maybe didn't get the opportunity, about 20 guys that could go and help practice every day. We had a really great day yesterday, and I just thought about it, and we competed, and it starts with the first group. It goes and it bleeds all the way through. My coach, I played under Coach Terry Long, and that's kind of all we know. I played Division I basketball, and guys, that's in this program, they have aspirations to play college basketball. Well, here's the new reality. This is what it looks like every day, right? And so if you can get a leg up and we can kind of instill some of these things early on in high school, when you do get the opportunity in college, you're able to take advantage of it. And that's our goal, for our kids. We want to help them be successful in whatever they desire to be. It just so happened that most of our kids want to be basketball players.
Talk about that relationship with Terry Long. I mean, he's such a staple here in the state of Oklahoma when it comes to basketball. He's won at all these different levels with all these different teams. And, of course, Coach Hugh, do you still keep in touch with Coach Long, and does he get a chance to watch your team play? No, Coach Long, me and Coach Long talk often. That's really, I would consider a mentor, but he's so much more than that to me. I credit him and my uncle for a lot of things that I know about basketball, that I know about life. And somehow when he coached us, I was a part of some really talented teams, but he figured out how to teach us life within basketball parameters. And I think that was really cool for me, and I resonated. And I've been knowing Coach Long, been going to his first. I remember, I think one of my first camps were, his Terry Long camp. And I remember practice for him shooting, and I remember, they being really big on me holding my God hand up. And it gave me opportunity, to ultimately remember those things and be good enough to play basketball at the next level. And then his demeanor just kind of showed, when we played, I think back when we played in 2000, 10, 11, some of those things that we do in practice at Millwood right now is a lot of what Coach Long instilled in me when I played and the things that we did and the style that we had. It was a fast-paced system. We got in your face. We played defense. We took pride in it. You saw the passion. We got out, used our athleticism, but we were also basketball players when it came down to it. And so, I credit a ton of that to Coach Long, man. He's a big part of what we do. And, honestly, he's a big part of my family. So he's still in contact. We still talk every once in a while. I think it was the Moore game. I looked up in the stands trying to look at the scoreboard, and I seen Coach Long right there, and I just kind of smiled and shook my head. He won't ever really say too much while he's there. He's not trying to do anything, but it's always good to see him in support. Yeah, and I think you look back at some of the big-time players, including yourself, that have played under Coach Long, and he's inspired so many other players to end up being coaches. He's got a coaching tree that is getting bigger and bigger year after year. So I've been very impressed with that. D. Bryant, you got another question for Coach Dorrian Williams?
I do. Coach, there's a lot of history in the rafters at Millwood and along the walls, trophies. So do you personally feel pressure as a coach to live up to that history of Millwood? Is there a pressure on you personally?
I wouldn't say so. I think me naturally, from being a competitor, from playing basketball at a high level, and I was the point guard of the crew. So, I was never too high, never too low. I think, for me, I just take it one day at a time. And if I know that, we are doing the things that we need to do to get better on the daily, I'm good with whatever result comes from it, and we practice the right things. We teach the right habits, and I was always taught that your work will pay off in that way, So to answer your question, I don't really feel any pressure at all. I think the most pressure that I'm going to feel is from my wife and kids. I think they put the most pressure on me to win. But other than that, it's done. A championship is not won on March 15th. It's really won when you first start school, when what you do in summer league, and what you do on the day-to-day and your practices. And I think those things equate to winning it all. And so far, man, we feel good about, what we've been doing on the daily, what we practice, the work we put in. And so, you practice those things, you preach those things, and then you tell the kids every day to believe. Well, I'm the leader of the group, right? So I have to believe. And if they don't see pressure on me or, they know that I believe, my team usually follows suit.
Well, let me piggyback off that question real quick. And you do have a lot of experience with state championships. We know your history as a former player at Douglas. You've won multiple rings there. You went on to win a state championship as an assistant at Douglas 2 years ago. Then you got the job at Millwood. You got them to the championship game in year one. So let me put some pressure on you. How confident are you right now that this is the year that you can bring a championship to Millwood in year number 2 for you?
If I'm being completely honest, I would love to. I would love for it to happen. But honestly, my mind doesn't even work that way. I think we say March 15th when we first start running in preseason. Yeah. Then after that, it's day-to-day for me. I literally wake up and try to be better than I was yesterday. And that's kind of the message that we send to our team, too. At the end of the day, you don't win 6 games or whatever, how many games we have left in one game, right? It's day by day. And usually you can't win on Thursday unless you have great days of preparation, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday. And so that's kind of the focus, is making sure we can control what we can control each day. There's nothing I would want more than bring a championship here for Millwood and for our community and for the success and continued tradition that we have. But in order to do so, I think it's best that we have a mind frame of day-to-day, just 1% every day. And even though we've had success, let's continue to get better. We're not perfect, right? And that's kind of the way we address, this playoff run that we're hoping to make.
Again, well said. It's more about the process than just controlling what you control, and you let the wins and the losses take care of themselves. You just got to do what you can do. So I hear so many great head coaches say that very same thing. But I will say this, Coach, if you do win, your old alma mater, Missouri State, might be coming for you. They're struggling this year. They might need old number 23 back on the team.
It's funny, man. What's crazy about that, I actually signed under Quanzo Martin. Most people don't know. I signed under Quanzo, and Quanzo had left and got the job at Tennessee, and that's where Josh Richardson went, and we were all supposed to go to Missouri State together. So it's kind of cool to see him back, and it's actually a few coaches that were there when I was there that's there now. So, I mean, they talk about it. They know what they're going through, but they're really good at what they do. They're persistent, and they're going to get it together. They don't need me.
Now, as a former Division I basketball player such as yourself, who's now a head coach, I'm curious what your thoughts are on collegiate athletics because it's evolved so quickly over time. NIL, transfer portal, you name it. It's a different deal now than it was when you were playing Division I basketball at Missouri State. But being a head coach, you've got a ton of kids on your team right now that are getting recruited by big-name schools. What advice do you give your players when that recruiting process starts?
Yeah, no, that's one thing we do really well at Millwood. I will say is we are very involved in recruiting and helping kids get to where they want to go. And whether it's realistic or not, we're always realistic, right? And I think that's the first stage in recruiting. Even, I coach during the summer with Legends. I'm the 15U coach. So you deal with recruiting all the time. I think the first thing you have to do is be honest, right? If you are on pace of being a D1 kid, cool. If you're on pace of being a D2 kid, cool, right? From a talent perspective. But now what people got to understand is just because that's where your talent is, that doesn't mean that's where you're going to end up. And because of those reasons that you just said, such as the transfer portal, NIL, and all these things, and even more so with the new JUCO stuff that's coming out, with that not counting against your eligibility, right? So you can go play JUCO 2 years and have 4 years of NCAA basketball. So what you're going to start seeing is kids that probably are traditionally, maybe a high major talent. He may end up mid-major. A college may only take one high school kid that year. I know I have a lot of friends on that level, and there's a lot of schools that I think Rick Pitino said it the other day. That's not even looking at high school kids anymore, right? Like they're not even going out to these summer events. So when I coach a kid, I try to tell them, first of all, you got to do something other than score the basketball. If you are focused on you having 30 points a game and thinking that's going to help you get to school, it may help you, but it won't get you there and it won't keep you there. I think coaches now are looking for guys that can instantly come in and make an impact. And I think if you look at all your colleges of today, like Houston and, some of these other, like Texas Tech, I just watched that game last night. Yeah. That game was full of the defense, right? And every one of those guys on there can score the basketball. And I've seen it happen during the summer. But, I mean, the way they swarmed the ball, the way they moved on rotations, the extra effort plays they get, like that's the stuff that college coaches are now looking for if you want to be a younger kid to play. And that's part of the reason why our system is the way that it is because we want kids to have that opportunity. Like I mentioned, the 3 kids that we have, you got like a kid like Isaiah Wilkes, who, Shaka Smart has been here, multiple times with Marquette, and that's a guy that he only recruits high school kids, right? Like he's not in the portal. If you look at his roster this year, he hasn't taken a portal kid or a transfer. It's all high school. So everybody find their own lane. It may not be the traditional, the old way. When I was in school, I mean, they would take 4 or 5 high school kids and bring you on campus. Nowadays, man, we'd be lucky to see 1 and 2. But, that don't change what you got to do. You still got to play a certain way, still got to do something other than score the basketball, and you got to carry winning intangibles. And that's something that, I talk about our kids about, and, I think Amari Barrett specifically, even Jonathan, Braylon, I would say that too. They all have winning intangibles, right, that have helped them or at least give them an opportunity to play at the next level or get the opportunity, right? So we talk about those things, man. The recruiting landscape has changed a whole lot, but, it's still attainable. It really is. You just got to make sure you're putting in the work and make sure, everything, like I say, the day-to-day is matching up with your end goal. And so as long as those things are happening, usually, you'll get a chance somewhere.
So for my last question is just about 3A basketball, and there's several teams that we're weary of, and teams that you've already played. Again, Crooked Oak, number 2, Cassia Hall, number 3, teams that you've played and you've won, you've experienced. But my worry about 3A basketball is there's so many teams in the class, and you never know who's going to sneak up on you and maybe come through and just have an incredible game. Maybe they prepare accordingly and just go out there and execute. I mean, how do you battle 3A basketball in the postseason. Is the mindset different for your players, knowing that there's no margin for error here? We've got to be dialed in. Just what's the mindset like for your team going into the playoffs, and what do you think about 3A class overall?
Yeah, I think me personally, 3A class is one of the most or more underrated classes. Like you said, for the reason there's so many teams, you can play anybody. You may not even heard of a kid before, and he comes out and he's balling, right? Because it's a little smaller, right? But the talent is there, the coaching is there, and that's why for us, our mindset is always going to be, well, take care of Monday, take care of Tuesday, right? Take care of Wednesday. And if you do those things, we will take care of Thursday, right? And that's kind of what we've been doing. Is like I'm sorry to keep alluding to it, but good day to day. The focus on day to day, right? We can't worry about what Crooked Oak may look like, what Cassia Hall may look like, or what Roland may look like. Because the truth is, if we don't take care of Lindsay or do our job against Lindsay, we won't ever get to see him, right? And so our focus is day to day. Let's make sure our work is getting done. Let's make sure our preparation is there. Let's make sure our togetherness is there, and we'll take our chances with anything.
So I'm looking here at the bracket for the regional tournament. You've got Lindsay on Thursday, and if you win, you can play in Hennessy on Saturday. Now, what's the preparation like? Because you don't know who you're going to play on Saturday, and if you lose against Lindsay, you play on Friday. So that even limits the preparation time even smaller. What's that like when it's a short turnaround in the postseason? Do you and your staff get together and just pull an all-nighter and prepare and watch film? How's that work?
I would tell you this. It's a lot of sleepless nights, a lot of long nights in late February, mid-March. Like you said, we scout for everybody. And then as far as preparation on the floor, we really hound in on our fundamentals that the first few days before, like a Monday or Tuesday. And then we game prep more so Wednesday. But the fundamentals and the core principles that we carry, we really emphasize those things, because a lot of things can go wrong. A lot of things can change in a game. But if those things are fine, then we feel good about what we do. And the other part is and this is why I allude to my coaching staff, and I allude to the people that we have that supports us and help. I mean, man, I remember I would use last year, for example. I think in 3 days of that, well, I say 2 days, or I say the week, but I probably slept maybe 24 hours that entire week, maybe 20. And I was just catching a cat nap 30 minutes at 1 o'clock, waking up, and doing it all over. But that's part of the grind, man. And that's why our kids I feel like that's why they're so bought in, because they know we are. They know, if I'm asking them to do something, it's nothing that I wouldn't do myself. If I'm asking them to put the work in, I'm going to put the work in, right? Or my coaching staff is going to put the work in to try to make sure that we're as prepared as possible. And then we go from there. But yeah, it's a lot of sleepless nights, man. A lot of long nights throughout the playoffs. But I think that's the most exciting time for a coach. If you're up, that means you got something to play for, right? And so that's kind of the goal for us. I know it sounds crazy, but as coaches, we look forward to these moments.
You talk about the best time. I mean, this is the best 3 weeks of high school basketball for the entire year, with the regionals. Then you've got area next week, and then the week after that, you've got the state tournament. So it's all right in front of you. This is the pinnacle part of the season that really gets me going. I know it gets your team going, and you've got just a great program there at Millwood. A lot to be proud of, Coach Dorrian Williams. We appreciate you coming on this morning. And hey, I want to have you on again. Hopefully, we can see you raise a gold ball for Class 3A championship and have you on and celebrate live on the air.
Absolutely.
So, good luck on Thursday against Lindsay.
Thank you. I appreciate you. I appreciate y'all having me on here.
Yep, you bet. Coach Dorrian Williams, head coach of the Millwood Falcons.